It starts with the small things, the moments you might dismiss as just getting older. You find yourself holding a restaurant menu an extra foot away from your face, searching for a brighter patch of light. You misjudge a step in a dimly lit room, your heart skipping a beat as you catch your balance. You see a familiar face across the street, and you smile only to realize as they get closer that it's a complete stranger. These aren't just minor inconveniences, are they? They are subtle losses of connection. They are tiny erasures of a world you once saw with effortless clarity and confidence. For generations, we have been handed a narrative of inevitable decay. We're told that our eyes are like mechanical parts in a car, that they are simply destined to wear out, grow cloudy, and fail over time. Today, here at Healthier Daily, we are here to challenge that narrative at its very core. We are here to tell you that your body holds a wisdom far greater than any machine, a wisdom of constant repair and regeneration.
That is the fundamental truth, Ben. To truly understand this, we must stop seeing our eyes as fragile cameras that are doomed to break. Instead, I invite you all to see them as they truly are living, breathing gardens. Like any garden, they can certainly suffer from neglect. The soil can become poor, the sun can be too harsh, and they can be starved of water. But also, like any garden with the right kind of care, with patience and wisdom, they can be cultivated back to life. The colors of the flowers can become vibrant again. The focus can become sharp once more.
A living garden. That's a powerful shift in perspective. It's not just a poetic image, is it, Doctor?
Not at all. It is a profound psychological shift. Why a garden? Because this perspective moves you from a place of passive fear to a position of active power. You are no longer a victim of a timeline of decay. You become the master gardener of your own vision. And a true gardener knows that miracles are not born from a single desperate act, but from a series of wise, consistent daily choices. You learn to work with nature, not against it.
And that is exactly our promise to you today. Over the next 30 minutes, this will be more than just a video. This will be a masterclass. We will not just give you another list of superfoods to remember. We will equip you with a complete framework for seeing and for healing. We will guide you step by step through the 4 essential tasks of a master gardener, each task grounded in the deep philosophy Dr. Hinohara speaks of, and each one validated by rigorous modern science. By the end of this masterclass, our goal is for you to have a completely new relationship with your eyes and a clear, actionable plan to nourish them from the inside out. So if you are ready to pick up your tools and become the gardener of your own vision, please affirm your commitment in the comments below by typing "I am ready." And if you haven't yet, this is the perfect moment to subscribe to Healthier Daily and ring the notification bell. It's time to join our growing community of health cultivators. Your first lesson begins now.
A wise gardener never starts by looking at the leaves of a wilting plant. They do not fret over the blossoms. They start by kneeling down and feeling the soil. The soil is the source of all life. It is where nourishment is drawn from, where roots take hold, and where resilience is born. For your eyes, this rich life-giving soil is your blood. It is the silent internal river that must flow freely, carrying precious oxygen and vital nutrients to every single one of the millions of cells that create your vision. If that river runs slow, or if it becomes blocked, the garden begins to starve. I think of a patient of mine, a gentleman named George. He was a 72-year-old artist who spent his life painting the most beautiful landscapes. He came to my office and he was heartbroken. He told me his world had turned muddy. The brilliant blues of the sky, he loved to paint the vibrant greens of the trees in his yard. They had all faded into a dull, indistinguishable brown. His internal soil had become compacted and poor.
George's experience is a perfect real-world description of what happens on a microscopic level when the retina is starved of what it needs. To understand this, you need to know one incredible fact: your retina is metabolically hyperactive. By weight, it consumes more oxygen than your heart and even more than your brain. It is one of the most demanding tissues in your entire body. This incredible demand is met by a dense network of the tiniest, most delicate blood vessels you can imagine. As we age and due to the pressures of modern life, these tiny vessels can become stiff and narrow. It creates a microscopic traffic jam that prevents that life-giving river of blood from reaching its destination. The result is exactly what George described: a world that slowly loses its color and its sharpness. But here is where the science becomes so hopeful. The key to keeping these pathways open to widening that river is a miracle molecule your own body produces called nitric oxide. Think of nitric oxide as the body's natural signal for relaxation and opening. It literally tells the smooth muscle walls of your blood vessels to relax and widen. This action immediately lowers blood pressure within that vessel and dramatically increases the flow of blood. The problem is our natural production of nitric oxide tends to decline as we get older, right when we need it most. But the good news is we can give our body the raw materials it needs to make more. Those raw materials are called dietary nitrates, and the undisputed kings of dietary nitrates are dark leafy greens, foods like arugula, spinach, kale, and especially beet greens. It's a fascinating process. When you eat these greens, beneficial bacteria on your tongue convert the nitrates into nitrites. That is then converted into powerful nitric oxide in the acidic environment of your stomach. And this isn't just a theory, it's backed by large-scale evidence. A major long-term study called the Blue Mountains Eye Study, which followed thousands of people for over 15 years, found that those who consistently ate the most leafy greens had up to a 50% lower risk of developing early macular degeneration, a leading cause of vision loss. 50%. That is the power of tending to your soil.
For George, the artist, the prescription was beautifully simple. It was not a complex pill with a long list of side effects. It was a green smoothie every single morning. He would blend a large handful of spinach, a piece of fruit for sweetness, and some water. That was it. 2 months later, he brought a new painting to my office. The colors were breathtakingly vibrant. He had tears in his eyes as he told me, "The soil is rich again, doctor." You see, he wasn't just seeing color again. He was seeing hope.
Starting this first gardening task is simple. Don't get overwhelmed. Just aim for at least 2 packed cups of dark leafy greens each day. A cup is about the size of your fist. You can blend them into a smoothie like George did. You can wilt them into your morning scrambled eggs or into a warm soup, or you can make them the foundation of a large, beautiful salad for lunch or dinner. This single, consistent habit is the most powerful first step you can take to enrich the soil of your garden and bring life back to your vision.
Once the soil is healthy and rich, the wise gardener considers the light. Light, of course, is the source of all life and all sight. But too much of it, day after day, year after year, can scorch the most delicate blossoms in our garden. Our eyes, more than any other part of our body, face a constant, lifelong barrage of intense light energy. From the powerful rays of the sun to the artificial glow of the screens in our homes, this energy is always present. To preserve our garden, we must provide it with an internal shield.
Dr. Hinohara's analogy of a shield is scientifically perfect. The most damaging form of light is something called high-energy blue light, which comes from the sun and increasingly from our digital screens. This type of light penetrates deep into the eye and strikes the macula, the very center of your retina, that is responsible for your sharpest, most detailed, straight-ahead vision. When this blue light impacts the delicate cells of the macula, it creates a damaging process called oxidative stress. The simplest way to understand this is to think of it as a slow, microscopic rusting of the precious cells you need to see the faces of your loved ones, to read a good book, or to appreciate a beautiful sunset. But here is where the brilliance of nature reveals itself. Your body has an incredible built-in defense mechanism. It takes two specific antioxidants from the food you eat. Their names are lutein and zeaxanthin, and it actively transports them to your eye, concentrating them in the macula. There they form something called the macular pigment. This pigment is literally a yellow shield that sits in front of your photoreceptor cells and absorbs and filters out the damaging blue light before it can ever cause that rusting. It is your eye's own built-in natural pair of sunglasses. And the scientific evidence for this is overwhelming. So where do we find the best source of these protectors? While you can get them from leafy greens, the most powerful and most easily absorbed source is the yolk of a pasture-raised egg. The deep, rich orange color of the yolk is a direct visual measure of its lutein and zeaxanthin content. And the term pasture-raised is critical. It means the hens roamed freely, eating their natural diet of grass, bugs, and seeds, which is where they get these pigments from in the first place. The landmark Age-Related Eye Disease Study 2, or AREDS2, a massive multi-year trial funded by the U.S. government, definitively proved that supplementing with lutein and zeaxanthin significantly reduces the risk of progression for age-related macular degeneration.
This science brings to mind a wonderful lady named Clara, who was 68 when I first met her. Her mother had lost her vision to macular degeneration, and Clara lived in a state of constant fear that she would suffer the same fate. She was becoming afraid to read, afraid to look at bright screens. Her world was shrinking because of this fear. When she finally understood that she could actively build her own sun shield from within, everything changed for her. She made it a morning ritual to start her day with 2 beautiful deep orange yolked eggs. For Clara, it wasn't just breakfast. It was a daily act of defiance against her genetic fears. With every meal, she was lovingly building her shield. She was no longer a potential victim. She was a proactive gardener.
This idea of building our own defenses, of becoming a proactive gardener like Clara, is so incredibly empowering. And on that note, we'd love to feel the power of our growing community. Please take just a moment to share which state or country you are watching from in the comments section below. It is a true joy for us to see our global community of gardeners tending to their health all around the world.
A garden can have the richest soil and the perfect amount of sun, but without water, it will inevitably wither. The ground becomes brittle and cracked. The leaves become dry and irritated. Water is what soothes, what cleanses, and what allows for gentle life-given flow. For our eyes, this essential act of watering relates to two things: the quality of our tears that bathe the surface of the eye, and the quenching of a silent internal fire of inflammation that can cause so much discomfort.
That dry, gritty burning sensation that so many people experience, known as dry eye syndrome, is one of the most common complaints we hear. And most people assume it's simply a lack of water, but the science is a bit more complex and far more interesting. You see, your tear film isn't just salty water, it's a highly engineered three-layer coating. The innermost layer is mucus to help it stick to the eye. The middle layer is the watery part. But the outermost layer, the one exposed to the air, is a very thin film of oil. This oil is produced by tiny glands along your eyelids, and its only job is to prevent the watery layer below it from evaporating. So in many cases, dry eye isn't a problem of not having enough water. It's a problem of that protective oil layer being thin or unstable. Without it, your tears evaporate into the air too quickly, leaving the sensitive surface of your eye exposed and irritated. At the same time, on a deeper level, many of us are living in a state of chronic low-grade inflammation. You can think of it as a silent fire simmering throughout the body's systems, fueled by stress, processed foods, and an imbalance of fats in the modern diet. This simmering fire contributes to everything from aching joints to heart disease, and it profoundly affects the delicate tissues of the eye. We can even measure this inflammation with a simple blood test for a marker called C-reactive protein, or CRP. When CRP is high, we know the body's inflammatory fires are burning too brightly. Now here's the beautiful part. The single most powerful nutrient to address both of these issues, the unstable oil layer in your tears and the internal fire of inflammation, is omega-3 fatty acids. These incredible healthy fats are the literal building blocks your body uses to produce that high-quality protective oil for your tear film. But even more importantly, they are converted within your body into powerful natural anti-inflammatory molecules with names like resolvins and protectins. Think of them as your body's own internal fire extinguishers, calming that systemic inflammation at its source. While walnuts are a good source of the plant-based omega-3 called ALA, the most potent anti-inflammatory forms are EPA and DE, which are found most abundantly in oily cold water fish like wild-caught salmon, mackerel, and sardines.
This brings us back to a patient I mentioned earlier, Margaret, the librarian. Her greatest joy in life, reading, had been stolen from her by the constant pain of dry eye. Her journey back to comfort began with this very principle of internal watering. She started by adding a small handful of walnuts to her daily oatmeal. Then, twice a week, she would prepare a simple, lovely meal of baked salmon with herbs. The change was not overnight. A true garden does not heal in a day. It was gradual. First, she noticed she could read for an extra 15 minutes without that gritty feeling. Then, a few weeks later, she realized she could read for a full hour. And then one afternoon, she was sitting in her favorite chair, completely lost in a book, and the sun began to set. It was only then that she realized she had spent the entire afternoon reading completely free of pain. The sand in her eyes had finally been washed away by this deep internal watering. She didn't just get her comfort back, she got a piece of her soul back. The final task of the master gardener, after tending to the soil, the sun, and the water, is to ensure the earth is fortified with essential minerals. Minerals are not the bulk of the plant. They are not the vibrant color of the blossom or the sweetness of the fruit. They are something far more fundamental. They are its strength, its structure, its deep resilience against the winds and the rains. Minerals allow all the other life-giving processes in the garden to function correctly. They are the quiet, unseen foundation of health.
That analogy of a foundation is the perfect way to introduce our final gardening task. Because in the complex and beautiful garden of your eye, the undisputed master mineral, the foreman of the entire construction site, is zinc. Zinc is what scientists call a cofactor. A simpler way to think of it is as a master helper molecule. It is essential for the proper function of over 300 different enzymes throughout your body performing countless critical jobs. But in the retina, its role is absolutely non-negotiable. Here's the most important job it does. Think of zinc as the delivery truck driver for vitamin A. Your liver acts as a large warehouse storing most of the body's vitamin A. But that vitamin A is useless to your eyes if it stays in the warehouse. It is zinc that is required to load vitamin A onto the truck, drive it through the bloodstream, and deliver it safely to your retina. Once that vitamin A arrives at its destination, zinc helps with the next crucial step, converting it into rhodopsin. Rhodopsin is the precious pigment molecule found in the rod cells of your retina. These are the cells that allow you to see in low light and adapt to the dark. Without enough zinc, the delivery trucks stop running. Without the deliveries of vitamin A, your eyes cannot produce enough rhodopsin. And the result is one of the earliest and most common signs of zinc deficiency: difficulty with night vision and a much slower adjustment to changes in light. This is why the glare from headlights can feel so blinding and debilitating. Once again, the evidence from the massive ARED2 study confirmed the power of zinc, showing that it was a critical component in the formula that successfully slowed the progression of macular degeneration. So where do we find this master mineral? The most concentrated food source of zinc on planet Earth is oysters. Just 2 medium oysters can provide more than your entire daily requirement. For those who don't eat shellfish, other excellent sources include grass-fed beef and pumpkin seeds. And here is a crucial scientific note for anyone considering supplements: taking high doses of zinc by itself can over time deplete your body of another important mineral, copper, which is also vital for nerve health. This is a perfect example of nature's wisdom. Whole foods like oysters contain a natural, perfect balance of both zinc and copper. This is why, whenever possible, the gardener's path is to get nutrients from real food, which provides them in the intelligent symphony nature intended.
This science of minerals always makes me think of David, a proud man who was a retired city bus driver. When I met him, he had lost the confidence to drive his wife into town for dinner in the evenings. He told me the glare from oncoming headlights felt like daggers in his eyes, leaving him feeling disoriented and unsafe. He felt he was losing more than his ability to drive. He was losing his independence, his role as a protector and provider for his wife. He was losing a piece of his dignity. We discovered his diet was very low in key minerals, especially zinc. The change we made was simple. We encouraged him to incorporate a small portion of oysters once a week and to snack on pumpkin seeds. A few months later, he came back to my office and his posture was different. He stood taller. He told me the glare was still there, but it was manageable now. It no longer felt like an attack. Then he told me the best part. He had taken his wife out for a lovely dinner to celebrate her birthday the Saturday before, It wasn't just about driving, you see. For David, it was about reclaiming a piece of his life and the dignity that came with it. That is the power of fortifying your foundation. So we arrive at the end of our master class, but I truly believe we are at the beginning of your new journey. As you have seen, this is not about 4 magic foods. It is about 4 timeless essential principles of cultivation. Tending to the soil of your blood flow with dark leafy greens, shielding the delicate blossoms of your retina with golden egg yolks, watering deeply and quenching inflammation with healthy fats, and fortifying the very roots of vision with essential minerals from the sea. This is about becoming a true partner with your body's profound intelligence. I ask you to adopt the mindset of a gardener. A gardener is never impatient. A gardener does not stand over a newly planted seed and shout at it for not sprouting overnight. They understand that healing and growth take time. They show up every day with care, with attention, and with trust in the process. I ask you to offer yourself that same patience and that same grace. Each healthy meal is an act of planting a seed. Each good night's sleep is an act of providing nourishing rain. Be patient. Be consistent. The harvest will come.
That mindset is the foundation for everything. So now let's make this incredibly practical. Let's give you a simple map to start your gardening journey today. Level 1, the first step. Please do not feel overwhelmed. Just choose one of these 4 tasks and practice it consistently this week. Perhaps it's as simple as adding a large handful of spinach to your morning eggs, just one single change. Level 2, the daily gardener. Once you're comfortable, build a simple daily routine. Imagine this 2 pasture-raised eggs with spinach for breakfast, a small handful of walnuts for a midday snack, and then just 2 or 3 times a week, a lovely piece of wild salmon or a small serving of oysters for dinner. This is not deprivation. This is joyful nourishment. Level 3, the advanced gardener. For those of us over 60, our digestive fire may not be as strong as it once was. To ensure you are breaking down and fully absorbing all these precious fat-soluble nutrients, you may want to consider a high-quality digestive enzyme supplement taken just before your main meal of the day. By adopting this gardener's mindset and taking these simple actions, you are actively promoting your long-term macular health. This is the most effective natural strategy known to science to help prevent retinal thinning and enhance your visual acuity. It is the true path to vision restoration after 60 and the ultimate secret to lifelong eye longevity. If this masterclass has provided you with value, clarity, and most importantly with hope, please honor the work we do here by giving this video a like and share it with anyone in your life who feels their world is growing dimmer. And if you have not yet done so, this is your official invitation to subscribe to Healthier Daily and ring the bell. We are here to walk this path with you every step of the way. Finally, we have one last important question for you. After learning this framework, what is the single most important change in mindset or in action you will take for the garden of your eyes? Please share your commitment in the comments below. Your public declaration could be the very spark of inspiration that another member of our community needs to begin their own healing journey.
Thank you for sharing your precious time with us today. Remember to look at the world, and especially at yourself, with kindness. Be a patient gardener